In the golden era of American cinema, where tough guys ruled the screen and justice was often carried out with grit rather than dialogue, one name stood tall: Joe Don Baker. With a presence as rugged as the Tennessee hills and a voice that sounded like gravel rolling through a canyon, Baker etched his name into film history as a no-nonsense hero who didn't wait for backup. Today, we remember the life of the man who gave us Buford Pusser, who made us believe in the power of standing alone against corruption, and who showed that raw authenticity always triumphs over polished pretense. Joe Don Baker, the face of American resolve, has passed away at the age of 89, but his story still walks tall. Joe Don Baker was born on February 12, 1936, in Groesbeck, Texas, a quiet town nestled in the heart of Limestone County. His upbringing during the Great Depression and World War II shaped a young boy into a man of deep humility and unshakable values. Raised in a working-class household, Joe Don absorbed the lessons of perseverance and integrity from an early age. Life was never easy, but his parents instilled in him a strong moral compass, one that would later shine through the rugged characters he brought to life on screen. After graduating from high school, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, where discipline and duty further molded his worldview. Upon his return, he enrolled at North Texas State University. It was there, away from the dusty roads of Groesbeck, that he found his calling in the world of theater. He wasn't chasing stardom. He simply discovered the transformative power of storytelling. Joe Don's path to Hollywood was anything but overnight. He began like many others, auditioning for small television parts, playing background roles, and constantly knocking on closed doors. But there was something different about him. Casting agents noted his authentic Southern demeanor and his grounded performance style. He wasn't trying to be a star, he was just being himself. Slowly but surely, Joe Don worked his way into the television circuit, appearing in shows like Gunsmoke, Bonanza, and The Big Valley. His deep-set eyes and unmistakable drawl made him memorable. He was relatable, not larger than life, and in a town of carefully manufactured personas, that authenticity became his calling card. In 1973, his big break came, not in a glamorous studio, but in the gritty and real-life inspired role of a sheriff who wouldn't back down. That role was Buford Pusser in Walking Tall, and it would launch Joe Don Baker into cinematic legend. Walking Tall became more than just a box office hit, it became a cultural statement. The story of Buford Pusser, a real-life Tennessee sheriff who took on local corruption with nothing more than a plank of wood and his own sense of justice, resonated deeply with a country disillusioned by Watergate, war, and social unrest. Joe Don Baker embodied the role with unparalleled ferocity. He didn't just act the part, he inhabited it. You could see the torment in his eyes, feel the weight of justice in every step he took, and hear the resolve in every word he spoke. Audiences didn't just watch Walking Tall, they rallied behind it. They saw Joe Don as one of their own, someone who had seen hard times and still stood tall. His performance wasn't just powerful, it was transformative. It cemented his place among the greats and left a legacy that would be referenced for decades to come. While Joe Don Baker could have ridden the success of Walking Tall into a lifetime of typecast roles, he chose a more challenging path. He demonstrated an impressive range that allowed him to move seamlessly from gritty lawmen to menacing villains. His performance in Mitchell was so raw and tough that it gained cult status years later, even finding new life through parody and homage. In Charley Varrick, he played a relentless hitman with chilling precision, and in The Living Daylights, he brought a larger-than-life quality to the James Bond universe as arms dealer Brad Whitaker. He later returned to the Bond franchise, this time as CIA ally Jack Wade in GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, showing his versatility once again. Whether he was the hero or the villain, Joe Don had an ability to dominate the screen. He brought complexity to every role, adding layers of humanity and grit that made his characters unforgettable. Fame never changed Joe Don Baker. In a town that thrives on reinvention and reinflation, he remained remarkably down-to-earth. He never craved the spotlight. In fact, he seemed to prefer the quiet places, the solitude of a Texas ranch or the warm familiarity of old friends. Colleagues often described him as soft-spoken, respectful, and fiercely loyal. He valued hard work and honesty above all else. While others courted the tabloids, Joe Don avoided them entirely. He was married only once, had no public scandals, and treated his private life as something sacred. He spent his later years far from the cameras, content with what he had accomplished and the legacy he left behind. To fans, this grounded lifestyle made him all the more admirable. Joe Don Baker proved that you could be a giant in the film world without selling your soul to it. As he entered his twilight years, Joe Don Baker gracefully stepped away from acting. Though his on-screen appearances became rare, his influence never waned. Film students studied his performances. Directors and writers paid tribute to his body of work. Quentin Tarantino, known for his reverence of 1970s cinema, often referenced Baker as a key influence. Meanwhile, fans continued to discover or rediscover his films, keeping his legacy alive through new generations. He received several Lifetime Achievement Awards and was frequently honored at film retrospectives. Joe Don Baker passed away at the age of 89, surrounded by loved ones and far from the chaos of Hollywood. Yet his name still echoes in every gritty thriller, every tale of justice against all odds. His characters live on, not just in film reels, but in the hearts of those who find strength in their fight. As he entered his twilight years, Joe Don Baker gracefully stepped away from acting. Though his on-screen appearances became rare, his influence never waned. Film students studied his performances. Directors and writers paid tribute to his body of work. Quentin Tarantino, known for his reverence of 1970s cinema, often referenced Baker as a key influence. Meanwhile, fans continued to discover or rediscover his films, keeping his legacy alive through new generations. He received several Lifetime Achievement Awards and was frequently honored at film retrospectives. Joe Don Baker passed away at the age of 89, surrounded by loved ones and far from the chaos of Hollywood. Yet his name still echoes in every gritty thriller, every tale of justice against all odds. His characters live on, not just in film reels, but in the hearts of those who find strength in their fight. Joe Don Baker didn't need a cape or a catchphrase to be remembered. He wasn't interested in being adored, he wanted to be respected, and he was. In an industry filled with pretense, he was the real deal. He brought stories to life that spoke to the common man, the father, the veteran, the underdog. He reminded us that you don't have to be flashy to be powerful, that integrity is more valuable than applause. As we remember this giant of a man, let us carry forward the lessons he gave us, to stand firm in our beliefs, to fight for what's right, and above all, to walk tall. Joe Don Baker, 1936 to 2025. A man who walked tall on and off screen. Subscribe, like, and share to honor the legends of cinema.